Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's OpenCities user webinar. Thank you all for joining us today and finding the time to hear what we have to present to you today. As usual, we are going to start with some product news and what is currently under development. Then we will move to how to section where we are going to present you some tips and tricks, and then move on and with some user stories and use cases that you will find interesting, and close up our today's webinar with some questions and answers that you can leave on the chat. Today's presenter is, as always, our product management, Johan Göransson, Irma Alier, product engineer, and myself. And also today we're thrilled that we have two of our prominent users from Helsinki City Planning Department and also from Kaunas University of Technology in Lithuania that we will discuss more later on. Before handing over to Johan, I would like to remind you, as always, that you can stay focused. So as I was saying, you can always sign up and stay connected with us to our monthly and regular newsletter, users newsletter, or you can always send us a support ticket that you can find the direct support button on our editor interface, or you can visit our blog post and read all about our latest updates, or our communities forum to read everything that is related to OpenCities Planner issues. So let's move on to some product news. Johan, over to you.
Thank you, Dora. Hello, everyone. I want to start by talking a little bit about the development that we have done, and then I'll talk a little bit about the development that we are currently doing. And feel free to post questions in the chat if you have something. So starting off with the start screens, we have done some development where now a start screen can link to other start screens. So this really opens up the door to a lot of flexibility in how you structure your content, because now you can kind of have as many levels of information as you want. When you're on a lower level, when you have clicked on a tile from the initial start screen, you will of course have a back button bringing you back to the start screen. And if you are further down in the level, like on level 3, you will also have a shortcut directly taking you to the initial start screen. Next one, Dora. Our showroom application, I've talked about this the last time as well. We have been working on updating showroom to support iTwins and BIM models. And this has now been released. This version of showroom is kind of a hybrid version. So it does require internet connection to load product content, but it also supports local data sets, and the local data sets are typically the most heavy data sets in the scene anyway. So this means that the product view will always be updated. So when we are releasing something for the online version of OCP, the showroom version will automatically be updated as well, because they are kind of the same code. This didn't used to be the case, where the showroom can kind of lag behind the online version in functionality, but now they are one-to-one, so to speak. And it also comes with a new friendly UI, which lets you configure what start screens you want to download or want to run, and what data sets you want to sync, because the synchronization of data sets are built into this configuration, or in this UI. And Irma will show a little bit more about the workflows to use showroom later. We have upgraded to the latest version of iTwin.js. So we are on 3.3 right now. Itune.js is the rendering engine that all Itune applications are built on top of. So with this upgrade, of course we get access to a lot new features and bug fixes that you will see us using in the future in OCP. But the most noticeable difference is that there is a performance improvement in terms of both quicker load times, but also a more stable frame rate when you are looking at BIM models and navigating a scene. So this is also released, and I think you should be able to spot a difference, especially if you have been using BIM models. In Data Manager, we have a new button. It's a new functionality called Library. The library concept will be kind of reusable configurations that you can use in sources and map datasets in the future. The first library item that we have developed is a custom coordinate system. So you can define a custom coordinate system and use that on your sources and map datasets. But the idea here, so you create the custom coordinate system definition by pasting the coordinate definition like we see here. And you only have to do that once, then you can kind of reuse it in multiple sources that you are configuring in Data Manager. We want to do the same thing with other configuration sources like WMS or database connections or even scripts that you might want to reuse throughout multiple sources in Data Manager. This is more of a bug fix, but it's been a bug that we've had for a long time. If you're working in the EPSG 3857, which is a world kind of spanning coordinate system, then we used to have a problem with elevation scaling, especially in the northern regions of the globe. So this could lead to for instance, iModels or other models that were correctly placed in elevation or altitude, they would kind of fly because we had a problem with the elevation scaling in this coordinate system. But this has been fixed now, so it should work, and this is the default for all new data sets, but all data set you might have to go in and reconfigure them to use this new setting. Let's switch to have a look at what we're doing in terms of development. The search and query tool, it's a new tool that we are developing to enable powerful advanced querying on iModels while still maintaining the trademark OCP, user friendliness and ease of use. This has been or is being tested in the Siemens Square project primarily, and the use cases the functionality will kind of empower use cases like show all objects of a certain type, or give me the objects that are in a certain subsection of the campus with a certain type, and that sort of stuff. This is kind of still only enabled to pilot users, but we are working to get this as a kind of main functionality. It also supports populating the values in the drop-down list automatically, coming with all the values coming from the iModel. So it's a really powerful tool. And if you switch to the next slide, it also supports linking or querying project-wise. So you can bring up related documents that resides in project-wise based on a metadata query that this tool initiates. Works the same if you click on an object or if you use the search tool. Then it can use properties in the iModel, and then you can create a query to project-wise that brings you up related documents to whatever element you search for or clicked on. And then for certain file types like PDF and text files, you can actually click on them directly in the interface in the side panel and then preview them directly side by side with a model like this in OCP. So it's interesting functionality, and like I said, we're working to get this as a general availability thing. Right now, pilot users can use it, and if you have a use case where you really would like to try this out, you can always contact us, and we can help you get started with this kind of alpha functionality. Okay, thank you. I'll hand over to Irma now.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm going to hijack the screen now from Dorothea and share my screen. Since I'm going to present some videos here, I'm going to start by talking about ShowRoom. So I saw there was a question in the chat on ShowRoom, and maybe we can address that in more detail a bit later. I just wanted to start by kind of answering it in a way by actually explaining what ShowRoom is. So ShowRoom it used to be an offline application or an offline version of OpenCities Planner, which meant that it was primarily used for downloading your data set locally on a computer so that the performance of your project is better and not relying on the internet connection. So if you had gigantic data sets, for instance, a mesh model of your entire city, then you wouldn't rely on the internet connection to load the tiles. Instead, you would download the entire mesh on your computer and then stream it from there, or well, not stream it, launch it from there. The only thing that you would then have to have in mind is that the graphics card of your computer is strong enough to present it in a high quality. So basically, the ShowRoom that we launch now is the same, apart from it's, like Johan mentioned, it's a hybrid, which means that it can also launch online data. The reason why we did this is that we have data that we cannot download locally on a computer. One of them, for example, is a Bing map. Since we can only stream it from OpenCities Planner, we do not have the rights to download it. So it's Bing map, WMS, and WFS that do not allow us to download it locally. So for this reason, we stream them online, as well as iModels. We do not have the option of downloading iModels locally on a computer, so that content we stream online. So apart from these things that I mentioned now, everything else we download on a computer locally so that the performance of the project is better. So that somehow answers, I guess, your question. It's not made for remote collaboration with stakeholders. It's made for local presentations, I would say. But again, we can address this a bit more later on during the Q&A sessions. Okay, so what I'm going to show in this video is the entire workflow, from downloading ShowRoom to launching it to setting the configuration in ShowRoom, but also setting the configurations in Data Manager. The focus here is how do I grab those data sets that I mentioned and how do I download them locally on my computer. This is something that we did not have support for until our latest release. Okay, just a quick reminder, or maybe new news for people that haven't used this before. You can grab your ShowRoom in the instance settings, but before, make sure that the user that is downloading the ShowRoom has exhibitor rights. So unless the user has exhibitor rights, otherwise the user will not even be able to not only launch ShowRoom, but even download it, because when you click here on the drop-down button, and then this ShowRoom button will not show, it shows only for exhibitor users. So now exhibitor users will be able to download the application. So you click on download application and it starts downloading on your computer. So once that is done, you can then find it wherever it downloads on your computer, and then you can unpack it or unzip it. I think this process is kind of familiar for most of our users that have been using Exhibitor, but might be new for everyone else. So make sure you found the showroom.exe file and then launch it. Before we go into showing how ShowRoom looks like and for you to see the new interface, let's move back and let's look at a project that we want to download. And let's see how we grab those data sets from a project. So right now I'm looking, we're on online version of OCP, looking at a project. So this one is set in Marseille, and here we can see a difference between a Bing map and a mesh model. So like I said previously, the Bing map we will not be able to download, but we can stream it online. On the other side, the mesh model we can download, so that's what we're gonna grab in our so-called snapshots. Just a quick reminder, we can snapshot everything except for Bing maps, WMS layers, WFS layers, and iModels. So how do we create these snapshots? Before we go there, so I'm checking in the project, in the object manager, what are the layers of the map that I need. So it says that the layer that I need is Marseille. That's the name of the mesh model. Let me just rewind a second. I don't know if you caught that. So I went to data manager here. So in data managers, you know, is where we configure all our maps. So here's where I'm going to configure my snapshot. So I'm going to go to map datasets, search for Marseille because I had too many datasets in the list. And then here on the three dots, when I find the dataset that I need, which was that mesh model, I clicked on the three dots and then on create snapshot. So this will now start creating a snapshot of my original mesh model. So I can change the name, but I can't change the coordinate system. It will inherit the coordinate system from the original mesh model. And now you can see the first one that appeared is now a snapshot of Marseille. So that means that this is being created in the background and it will stay in data manager. So I have the original mesh model, mesh file. Let's say I create a snapshot from it, and I can create a snapshot from every data set that I want to use in ShowRoom. That doesn't mean that those snapshots get downloaded on my computer. They only get saved in Data Manager, but now I have the ability to grab them from ShowRoom, recognize them as snapshots, and then download them on my computer. So we've done everything we had to do on the cloud version. So we set everything, prepared everything in Data Manager. So now let's configure ShowRoom. So again, in that file folder that we downloaded, we click on ShowRoom exe. So that launches the actual application. And so this is, I'm sure you haven't seen the new UI before. So the new UI, you click on login, you type in your credentials, you log in with your user account, and then that usually takes a bit. Okay, so in this step, you can either launch your ShowRoom by selecting an instance where you as a user have access to and selecting the start screen that you want to launch and hit go. That would automatically launch your project. The only thing is that then your project will be streaming all the content online. But if you want to download your content, then the first thing you should do is click on the settings. Let me just rewind a second because maybe it wasn't visible. So on the ribbon that's going to show in the bottom, on the left side, you have a settings button. So you actually click here on settings, and let's check the settings first a bit. So there are a few settings that you can configure here. The first one is, do you launch full screen or not? So do you want to have the option to cancel it, to exit it or not? If you want to set it up in a way that you can have users view it, but the user can't exit the ShowRoom, then definitely go with the full screen option. Then the users will not have the escape buttons on the screen. Okay, so that was full screen. Then we have the second section, which is local data sets. And these are all the information that you have to fill in if you are gonna download your snapshots. So first one is whether to use local data sets or not. You can choose to go completely online. In that case, uncheck it. If you want to use the local data sets that you've downloaded, then check the box, and then it's going to do this hybrid version of streaming whatever is online and using everything that is local. By default, if you don't specify the folder where you want your data to be streamed or downloaded, by default, we will find a folder where you have downloaded the entire showroom. So you don't have to specify where you want to save your snapshot. But if you do, you can of course click browse and then specify where you want to save them. Here I created a folder on desktop and added a name snapshots. You can of course choose to place it wherever you want. Okay, so now I specified where I want it to end. Now I have to first specify which instance are my snapshots in, and then to kind of filter things out a bit, I'm going to specify what start screen the data set I am grabbing from is in. Otherwise, if you have an instance and without specifying the start screen, you could have a list of billions of data sets and it might be too messy. So specify the instance, specify the start screen where your snapshot is in. In this case, it was a very great name of SSS. And then once that is specified, you can unlock the data sets. So I selected the Marseille data set that I created, and now I click download. This is going to take a while. So yeah, maybe do this at the end of the day or something. I, of course, fast forwarded and clipped the video into the finish. So once it is downloaded and finished, you now have that snapshot and the data set stored locally on your computer, and ShowRoom is automatically going to grab it when you launch your project. So now we go back to that window from before. Here we select what instance I want to work with, what's the start screen I want to work with, and then I click go. So now it's going to launch my project with everything that is going to be streamed offline and online, except that now the background is going to be more stable, not going to rely on internet connection. And yeah, basically it will have a better performance. So you can do this again with all the data sets you want to download, and everything else is going to be streamed online. Another thing, hide admin interface. Let me just back up a bit again. Hide admin interface. So this option is if you want to remove the bottom ribbon so that nobody can click back and then configure or select any other project. If you are, for instance, launching this in a showroom where, you know, people who are going to look at your project should not have any rights to change or mess with anything or log out, for example, then you have the option to click on hide admin interface. And then once you do that, it's going to explain to you that in which way to remove the admin interface, which is basically by clicking on the escape key. What will happen when you click on the escape key is that you are going to have to log in again in order to bring back the admin interface. So this way we are blocking anybody that doesn't have the rights for it to come and change anything in your showroom. So you click on I understand, hide it, and then it expands to full view of the project. So that was everything on showroom, in specific on snapshots. If anyone has any questions now, feel free to ask. If not, then we can cover them in the Q&A session. Okay, in that case, I am going to move in into the other topic of today, which are the start screens. So as Johan mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, start screens are not a novelty anymore, but what is new is the way that we tie up start screens together. So before, we did not have the option for you to have multiple levels of start screens. So you could have done that, but through some kind of hack. The problem would have been then that you cannot go back and forth from one start screen and another. So that's what we have enabled with our previous update. So I start with the main start screen. I have several projects here listed in tiles, and then I have another level 2 level of start screens. And again, here I have my projects and then level 3 of start screen. So what happens when you reach level 3? Well, let me click next. So if you're done with the start screens, you can of course enter a project or a portal. This part is familiar. You can go back to the start screen, and then now you have the back button to go back to the previous level of the start screen, and then another back button to go to a previous level of start screen. But if you go 3 levels of start screen deep, what you also start getting is a home button. So this is for any user that is so ambitious that has more than 3 levels of start screen. So let's say that you click on a start screen and then 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 on a start screen. In order for you to go back to the main home start screen, it's too many back buttons. So starting from level 3, we start seeing a home button that starts appearing. So when you click on the home button, it of course brings you back to the main screen. So that is basically it. Now what I'm gonna, just a quick reminder on how to configure start screens. So again, it's under project grouping. So right now you can see it's set to start screen, but I can shift it to portal or to a project. And if I want to go back to having it as a start screen, usually the interface doesn't switch back to the UI of a start screen until you toggle something on and off, and then it reloads again. So here you, of course, select all the projects or portals or start screens that you want to use in your start screen. Note that a start screen always has this home button to it. So you just select, all the start screens or content that you want to have included. And then your start screen is created. Apart from having the option of adding start screens, you can, of course, add a picture or this is the first time we're presenting, also a GIF if you want to add it. And of course, you can add text that explains your start screen a bit better. This is very important if you're going to have multiple levels of start screens so people can understand where they are and what is the difference between these levels. So having some explanation is always good. You can then, of course, change the styling of the text, but these parts you guys already know. And with that, I think we end the start screen story. Again, are there any questions? I noticed there might be some questions that I guess our users are on mute. I don't know if my team has read anything.
No, I think we are okay. So everyone can leave their questions on the chat and we are going to address all of them by the end. So thank you, Irma.
Just a second. I see Kim asked, is this available now? I'm not exactly sure what you were referring to. I'm guessing the start screens. The start screens are going to be available mid-October, so in, I don't know, 2 weeks, I would say, while ShowRoom is released, so that part is available. Go ahead, Dora. Now I think I'm done and switching off.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to continue now with our user stories for the day. So I would like to present you today a project that comes from Dublin in Ireland. We have been working along with the Dublin City Council, developing a city-scale digital twin to support city-level decision-making, stakeholder engagement, and their operations. City Dublin Council focused on 4 themes, and one of them was emergency service planning. And based on that, they created this project called Reality Models for Emergency and Support on behalf of the Dublin Fire Brigade. Their issues here that they wanted to tackle was how well they can manage the information that they have been collected and how they can communicate that to incidents commanders and how they can use this to benefit other functions, for example, strategic planning. Their data management and pre-incidents planning was divided in 3 phases. The first one was data collecting, taking information on in digital forms and, for example, fire safety management data and external data sources, for example, from national map agencies. The second one was to manage those data, like to validate them, enrich, link them, update and secure them. And the last one, and what this project was focused on, was to communicate this information, meaning to focus on detailed information about risk site and information that support fast forward arrangements. And their main question here was, can this information be easily communicated and facilitated by a reality model-based pre-instance planning? And the conclusion from that is on these 4 comments here. First of all, the Dublin City Council mentioned that using the cloud, and also the fire brigade department, they mentioned that by using cloud to manage the data opened all new possibilities for them, and this is what they need right now. To present this information in context of its location in space provides easy of use, intuitive navigation to where they can find information, and also in relation to other pieces of information. All of these enhance their work. Interportability is a key factor in their work, so cloud-based systems allowing interfacing with third-party application brought them so many benefits, because this means that they can be able to connect to other applications like weather apps. And their last comment was that a platform like OpenCities Planner allows them to integrate with other web-based data applications like Beam Data for emergency response resource, which is a bit premature for them at the point, but this is where they are heading. And also with IoT data, streaming data, and even APIs from other organizational systems that will enhance their work. So this was a project that we would like to present today, because shows something differently from just what we have previously shown you. So moving on, as I mentioned at the beginning, today we are thrilled that we have 2 of our prominent users with us as guest presenters. Our first presenter is Rafael Padilla. I hope I'm saying the name correctly, from Helsinki City Planning Department, that is going to present us their Merihaka project. And then we will move on to our guest presenters from Kaunas University of Technology with their Kaunas Digital Twin project. We are happy to have them as well with us, because they are also finalists in Year of Infrastructure, Bentley's Year of Infrastructure this year, on our Facilities, Campus and Cities category. So I would like to thank all of them for taking the time to show us their projects today. So I would like to ask Rafael to share the screen and present us the project.
I think you might need to unmute her or him, sorry.
We have users invited, so let me just see what needs to be done.
Thank you. I just need now access to share my screen.
Let's see if we can figure that out. I have options to disable mic and disable camera.
I think you can share your screen right now.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I am Rafael Padilla. I'm an architect and urban planner from Helsinki City. I'm going to present to you a little bit of the projects that I have been developing on the detail planning department. Helsinki has been undergoing a large-scale development, especially on this region here, which is Kallio, Sotonainen, and Kalasatama. The target area of our project is Merihaka, which is here. It's currently undergoing a design principles phase. This is to prepare for possible development of the area and outline what are the possibilities. So we have studied some development scenarios areas for this area. And as the detail planning department, it is really important that we do a participatory planning process, which involves gathering feedback from the main stakeholders, which are the residents. So this is a kind of a simple project. It is mostly about visualization because we want to present what are these development scenarios to the users. So the main goal of this OpenCities Planner endeavor here is to measure how these development scenarios impact the residents and how is the general atmosphere regarding the urban development on this area. So we published then a site on the platform, and I will show you a little bit of how is this site. It is, again, very simple. We needed to make 3 languages. So here is a splash screen which outlines what is the objective here, and a little bit of an introduction of how the user can use it. It starts with these development scenarios. So we have here in dark gray the contextual model, which I have gathered from many other places. So dark gray means that it has force of law, but it is not yet built. So the actual place, our reality model here is a little bit out of date, because this area here, for example, is being currently built. So is this bridge, and this area here. These other places, they have force of law, so it is important that we show this for the residents so they understand that there is a bigger context. Merihaka is only this area here. I'll put here on this view. So it is only this area here. So this start screen allows us to view the both lots that we need to showcase the developments, and it's opens on with this layer on, which has a slider to show the scenarios that we have thought about. The scenarios are 1, 2, and 3, which they differ in density. So it is, and finally, the most important part here is the feedback. So we can come here to the feedback, and there is an outline that you must familiarize yourself with the different scenarios. And here is the questionnaire that we have elaborated. We decided to write a more detailed description of what are the scenarios and what do they differ, and also place a picture here that opens in a new tab. So these pictures we have placed on our servers. So after you read the questions, you can leave your response on all 3 of the scenarios, and also read about it. What are the differences and what are the goals? So now I'll show you from the developer's point of view, which is here. Our project again is quite simple. We have 2 groups. The first one is a forefront and a background. On the forefront, we have just this one single layer. The configuration here on here on this group, the configuration on interactions, it's marked to expanded launch to have only one active layer, because we need that when the layers change, the previous model is hidden. It's important to showcase this, and it is a slider because it's much simpler for the end user. We are targeting people who are not really that tech savvy. And then on the background, we have all the other models, which are gathered, as I said, again, from other places. They have very different level of detail. And this has been a little bit of a challenge to us because we don't really need the level detail of beam, for example, with every screw on their place, because it makes the model super heavy, and it is a lot of very unnecessary on this phase. So we have let me see here. Yeah, and the other thing is that we decided to color code this in a very simplistic way, that you know what is possible to change and what is not. So the white transparent you can change. And one thing that I want to highlight here is the project info that we have here, the description, and this text formatting option is really handy, and we missed this in our form builder. So I'm going to jump there and show you what I did here. So first we were thinking of synchronizing the camera angle with the layer. So whenever I clicked on scenario 1, for example, I would have the scenario 1 layer, which are these buildings showing here, but it was not possible. But I managed to get a workaround this by placing an image with light HTML coding here. So I could place the image, and the same thing on all other scenarios, and also on the text description. That I did a little bit of HTML coding to create the bold and italic, and also a little bit of changing in font size. So yeah, this has been our simple project. We have gathered 27 very valuable responses from the residents. Our questionnaire was completely anonymous, which is very important to this phase of the project. And we are really grateful for Bentley and for Irma and Dorothea for their prompt response. It was really, really important also to hear a little bit from you and know that we are supported as users. So yeah, this is our project, and I hope it was inspiring and helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rafael, for presenting your project. I hope our users enjoy that. I can see the reaction, so we are happy to do that. So I would like now to invite Kaunas. We have like two presenters, Darius and Vytautas. So welcome both of you. And you can share your screen and talk about your project.
Okay, hello. I am Darius Pupeikis and my colleague Vytautas Botsula.
Hello there.
Are representatives of Kaunas University of Technology. And today we are going to present, let's say, main part of our project, what we call Kaunas Digital Twin. And basically, OpenCities Planner is a main platform for, let's say, accommodation of various digitalization results. And we would like to introduce, I hope, interesting use cases, what we have done actually. Okay, first of all, it's a use case related with, let's say, more dynamic data, which is provided, which are provided by sensors. We implemented, I think, more than 100 parameters from physically, let's say, distributed sensors in our main building in KTU campus. And in OpenCities Planner, we can get access about indoor air quality parameters such as temperature, relative humidity, and CO2 emissions or some air quality. What you can see here, it's a what we call middleware. It's a more like a back end for for sensors because we need to aggregate and store this data. And after that, we could, let's say, embed it like an HTML link and get some useful benefits here. Definitely, we could imagine this not necessarily physical sensors, but we could use and we could think about the use case when we could, let's say, integrate some data from various APIs. It could be like weather data or things like that. Okay, next one. Sorry. Next one use case, it's related to the 360 panoramas embedding. We believe that this technology allows quite for good visual representation that is, I would say, quite useful in asset management or to seek some construction progress or other use cases. In an urban context, it is useful technology to provide information about building indoors, because if we use, for example, reality capturing as photogrammetry or LiDAR scanning, it is quite good in outdoors, in urban scale, when we can get, let's say, data by using drones and we could get, let's say, good accurate geolocation information from those devices. But what concerns indoors, it's like a bit complicated and challenging to get some digitalization from this perspective. That's why 360 panoramas embeddings could be quite useful from, let's say, this perspective. And what we have done, you can see actually in this slide. Okay, let's move to the next one, and I would like to invite Vytautas to continue my presentation.
Hello. So I would like to take over the Darius and show some more cases that would be used OpenCity Planner. And first of all, I would like to show you in the top left corner, you see infrared imagery. So basically that what happened is that we acquired the UAV capable of taking photographs in infrared spectrum. So we use those photographs to create a 3D model, and we place the model in the OpenCity Planner with the and in the future we'll try to use it for the bigger areas. Of course, it has its own challenges here, but so far it looks very promising in case that the OpenCity Plan enables to geolocate, for example, some features that is only visible in infrared light, like leaks of heat somewhere underground and similar cases. So that's what we are planning to develop in the future. Meanwhile, other free screens shows basically what we are doing here in university as the strong visualization tool that is serves as a sandbox for the architects and engineers. So basically, because we are university, we are working with the serious students, we train them and we train architects. And one of the most important things for architects is to not to disrupt the already existing environment. I mean, built environment as well as natural environment, and OpenCity Planner really enables architects and students to actually look over the area, what is its properties, and how to use the local landscape, how to create a model that is the project that is that suits surrounding architecture. And I think it's very important for the architects, a helpful tool to overlook these challenges, because in the real world, often newly built buildings are not so does not fit the surroundings as well as they should. So I think this tool is has a greater great opportunities to create architecture that is very sustainable visually, and that could actually use the help of architect to sense the scale, the sense of the local features, employ the natural landscape in order to develop a very sustainable project with sustainable architecture. Okay, then now on other slide that we here is that we used OpenCity Planner is and one of our project that was about the district renovation of city district renovation, trying to reduce the energy consumption within the district, and maybe use some natural energy resources, renewable energy resources. So in this case, we used OpenCity Planner as the platform to show the digital twin of this case, the city district. And the feature that we employed here successfully was basically embedment of various data from Excel, the spreadsheets. And this it was very useful because it allows editing of tables and graphics. And because it's linked to the OpenCity Planner, it automatically, the graphic was updated in OpenCity Planner. You don't need to re-upload, and altogether, this model works as a digital twin of this district that not only represents the visualizations of geometric properties of the buildings and surrounding areas, but also contains the features that describes the energy usage in this of these buildings, also the possible energy production within this the city district, and it enables us to have a holistic view of energy profile of this district. So in this case, OpenCity Planner was a very useful tool. Now, and a final final project that we used OpenCity Planner is to monitor the construction process. And this is a laboratory complex in our university campus that we used photogrammetry in different stages of the construction, and we placed it in OpenCity Planner as 3D models. These models gave us the view of progression of the construction during the time scale, and basically we can compare it to the project that we actually have approved prior to implementation of the construction began. So these are the cases that we use OpenCity Planner for. In the future, we would like to expand our usage of OpenCity Planner because we find it very useful. And for example, it's very important for university, because when we train the young architects and engineers to actually use it as the sandbox for the project, to actually help sense their surrounding environment, and other cases that we find where to have a local area is needed. So thank you very much.
Thank you, both of you, both Helsinki and Kaunas. Thank you so much for joining us today, and let us have a look on your projects. To conclude today, I would like to thank you all for joining. And if you also want to present as well on our upcoming webinar that will take place mid of December, before Christmas holidays. You can also email me, so we can have you. And also, just remind you, as I mentioned in the beginning, just register for our newsletter, visit us, send us support tickets. We are always here to help you and assist you. So if you have any questions, please leave them on the chat so we can address them. And also, if you want to ask a question, we can also enable your mic. I can see that Kim has raised a hand. So Kim, if you have a question, I'm going to allow your mic so you can ask us what you would like.
I've got a voice today, so I can't ask a question.
Oh, okay. So if anyone wants to ask us anything, please leave your questions on the chat here. I can see that we have some questions. Bill is asking about integrating OpenCities planner models with data.
Sorry, Dora. No, I mean, I think Kim was starting to ask a question, right, Kim?
No, I've barely got a voice today. I'll send you a
Okay,
question.
sorry. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood then. Sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead. I mean, if that's the case, you can of course write it down and we can answer it. So, or not. Dora, do you want to read the questions, or how are we? Should we start?
Yes, let's start with the first question that we had. Bill asks about integrating OpenCities planner models and data with Microsoft HoloLens, and if we can do that. Ewan?
Yes, so I would say not directly. In the Itune platform, there are different ways to get an eye model to display on a HoloLens. I know that in Synchro, which is a Bentley application for construction monitoring, they do have a direct integration with HoloLens with their eye models. So that's a possible option. And the other option would be that from eye models, we do have tools that can output, so you can read them in Unity and Unreal, and then you kind of have the whole gaming world capabilities combined with eye model technology. So then you can publish it or use it in HoloLens or in other AR and VR settings, but not directly from OCP, even though we can use the same eye models, but you would have to go through one of these kind of pipelines to do it.
Next question is coming from Greg. He's asking if we can use custom coordinate systems as the datum in the OCP projects, and if different height datums supported, for example, ellipsoid heights vs sea level. And yes, already my colleague Adams has already replied that yes, we support ellipsoid and sea level datums.
But also that's I think the answer to the second part.
To the second question.
Yeah.
And
the first part, can we use custom coordinate systems? That was something that Yuan presented under that libraries component,
yes,
or button in Data Manager. So with inside of that library part of Data Manager is where you can start creating your custom coordinate systems and then use them in the project. Yuan, I don't know if you want to add anything more to that.
No, I think that's accurate.
Okay, so yes to both questions, basically. Do we have any more questions? Okay.
Carl says he has plenty. So if all of you have more questions, please feel free to email us, or and then we can just reply directly to you in any topics that you want to address us. If we don't have any other questions left here in the chat, we would like to thank you all. Oh, I think that we have a last comment from Greg, but I'm not sure if I can see the screen here.
Hi, I'm guessing this is
Oh.
about the custom coordinate system, right?
Oh, so you mean in the actual product? That I'm a little bit uncertain if you can do. I mean, you can definitely use a custom coordinate system for your sources, and then you can transform it into a project coordinate system. But I'm gonna have to check if we can actually set the custom coordinate system here in the project settings as well. So I can come back to you with that.
Okay, then. So since we are a few minutes over time, thank you all for joining us today. The recording of this webinar will be available after tomorrow, so you will all receive a link, and you will always be able to find that on our help section under webinars. So thank you all for attending today.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Bye.
All right.